This is beef tri-tip, kind of like a roast, kind of like a steak, totally delicious and one of my favorite cuts of beef to throw on the grill. If you're looking for a complicated, super involved process for grilling one of these, this is not your video. I'm here to share with you in detail my simple method for grilling a freaking delicious tri-tip to your favorite temperature in 5 easy steps. If you're new to my channel, welcome. And to everybody watching, thank you for joining me here in my backyard. And yes, this is my actual backyard. And this is my cooking island. It's not a stage, it's not a set. I film real cooks, usually on my own, because having somebody on the other side of the camera makes me really nervous. I even edit my own videos, so don't expect anything too fancy. And you know what? Sometimes stuff happens. I like to leave that stuff in the video because in real life, stuff does happen, but it doesn't have to ruin your day. These are my cooking apparatus. I have the Weber Slate 30-inch griddle, a classic Weber kettle, the Char Griller Grand Champ XD offset smoker, Oklahoma Joe's Judge charcoal pit, Monument Grills propane gas grill, and the Gas One 2-burner camp stove. I really appreciate all those thumbs up and your comments. I love your questions, and I really love your requests. So if there's something you want to say, something you want to ask, or something you want to see me do with any of the equipment you see behind me, please do. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss out. Share this with your friends. Welcome to Tony Tone Barbecue. I'm Tony. Let's get cooking. This tri-tip weighs 3 pounds. By popular vote, I'm going to be cooking it on the Oklahoma Joe's Judge charcoal pit. I'm going to be burning Kingsford charcoal because that's what I have. Feel free to use whatever charcoal you like. I'm also going to give you a little tip on how to eliminate charcoal waste. Okay, step 1, season your tri-tip. I like to apply a little olive oil to all sides. And then pick your favorite rub. Salt, pepper, garlic work great. Check the description for some details on that. My personal favorite is Pappy's Original. This is the hot and spicy kind. Again, check the video description. Take that lid off and apply generously. I remove the lid because some of the bigger stuff gets stuck. Make sure you apply the rub on all sides and just press it onto the meat. That olive oil is going to help the rub stick to the meat and also help it absorb into the meat. There you go. Once you've got your rub applied, put it in the refrigerator and make sure it sits in there for at least an hour uncovered. You can leave it longer. I've leave them up to 8 hours and they come out even better. Step 2, prep your pit. I'm going to be cooking on the Oklahoma Joe's Judge charcoal pit. You're going to make sure to get your charcoal lit about 30 minutes before it's time to cook. I'm going to light my charcoal using the Weber rapid fire chimney starter. I like to stuff the bottom full of scrap paper that I have from work. You can use those little tumbleweeds to light your charcoal. Use whatever you like. I'm going to go ahead and fill this all the way up with the Kingsford charcoal. Again, use whatever charcoal you like. To those of you that say, charcoal, Kingsford charcoal full of gasoline. No, it's not, okay? You're good. Light it up. I usually wait until we have a decent amount of flames coming up through the charcoal, and then I go ahead and dump it in. These gloves make the job a little easier. Now that we've got the charcoal in the pit here, I'm going to go ahead and arrange all the charcoal so that it's all the way over here to the right side. Now that I've got the charcoal where I want it, you'll see why I have it over there in a minute. And I'm going to go ahead and lower it all the way down to the bottom level. Get our grates back in place. Make sure the intake vent down here is wide open. Close the lid. Make sure the exhaust vent is wide open. Now I'm just going to let this thing get nice and hot, and then I'm going to scrub and make sure these grates are clean. All right, when the grates over here have had a couple minutes to get super hot, you can go ahead and scrub them up and clean them. Now, something specifically about the Oklahoma Joe's Judge charcoal pit. Some people have noticed that they believe that I have my grates in upside down. On the other side of this grill, the grates are pointy. A lot of people like to have those pointed up. You have yours however you like to have them. I like them on the flat side up because it's just a lot easier to clean them really nicely, and it works just the same. Again, personal preference. Do whatever you want to do. Another personal preference is I like to clean them with a wire brush. I know a lot of folks are against the wire brushes because of the whole things come out, end up in your food and in your stomach, and you've got big problems. Okay, if you're going to use a wire brush, make sure you get a really good quality one. I like to use a scraper, and then I do a visual inspection to make sure there's nothing left. But of course, again, you do you. Clean your grates however you feel you can clean them well and safely. Again, having them flat side up makes it nice and easy. Now, I only really scrub this side because here's what I do. I pick these up and I slide them over. Do a little rotate, so then that way these two can get super hot, and I'll scrub those in a couple of minutes. All right, it's been a couple of minutes and those two are nice and hot now, so let's give them their final scrub down. All right, and now we're just going to wait and make sure that all the charcoal is ashed over nicely before we start cooking. All right, it's been a couple more minutes and those coals are looking really good. So we're going to make sure now that the intake vent is only about halfway open. Keep that nice and low. And then up here on the exhaust vent, we're going to want to make this shut down to about just 10% open. There's not much open there, just a little bit. What we're doing right now is we're kind of taming that flame and cooling it off a little bit before we put that tri-tip in here. So that's going to be going in here in just a few seconds. Okay, step 3. It's time to start cooking. Now, I want to show you something here. We're going to be cooking this tri-tip in the Oklahoma Joe's Judge charcoal pit here. We're going to be cooking it over indirect heat. That means charcoal's way over here, meat's going to go way over here, far away from the heat, so that way it comes up in temperature nice and slow. We're going to keep the exhaust valve nice and tight there, pretty closed up, so that way it keeps the charcoal temperature low, it doesn't burn as hot. I'm going to be monitoring the temperature as this slowly rises with a my little wireless probe here. This is the ThermoPro Temp Spike Pro. I highly recommend use some type of wireless thermometer to monitor your temperature. Just makes the whole job a lot easier. My goal for this, I like my steaks to be medium rare to rare. I really kind of prefer rare. Medium rare is about 130 to 135 degrees on this tri-tip. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to be cooking it over indirect heat way over here until it reaches about 120 degrees. That's about 10 degrees shy of where I want to be. And then we're going to move on to step 4. And that's going to be the fun part. And then we're going to be eating. And so here's what we're going to do. We're going to go ahead, open this up. And the tri-tip, if you're aware here, you've got one side with the meat. You've got the bottom side here with a little layer of fat. And we're going to go ahead and put it on the grill over here away from the heat. Notice that I positioned it so that the kind of thicker, fattest part is the one that's closer to the fire. Did that intentionally so that the little pointy end over here is further away from the heat. And that's all we're going to do. We're just going to close that now. And we're going to let that slowly cook until it reaches that temperature I'm looking for, about 120 degrees. It's probably going to take about 45 minutes or so. And then we're going to move on to the next step, okay? All right, I don't know if you can see this, but according to this, it has been 59 minutes, 60 minutes, 1 hour, and we are at the target temperature I was shooting for of 120 degrees. So I'm going to help you out with you finding your target temperature that you're looking for. Now remember, I'm looking for a rare to medium rare tri-tip, okay? If you like it medium, you're gonna need to go a little higher. If you want it medium well, if you want it well done, check the description of this video and I'll help you find the number that you're looking for. But it's time to move on to step number 4. Let's have a look at this tri-tip. There we are. All right, so for step number 4, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna go ahead and get this charcoal heated up a little bit. I'm gonna go ahead and open up the intake over there, and I'm going to raise these grates and get the charcoal as close as I can to the grate. I'm just gonna give the charcoal over here a couple minutes to kind of breathe and let it warm up. That extra oxygen is gonna get the fire burning a little hotter here over the next couple of minutes. All right, it's been a couple of minutes, so all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take the tri-tip here, and that fat side is going to help out with this process. I'm gonna take this and I'm gonna put it fat side down right over the coals. That fat is going to start rendering and dripping down into the charcoal. It's gonna make it burn even hotter. We're gonna leave this here for probably a couple of minutes. I'm going to give you a closer look at what we got going on here. You can see the fat is dripping down and it's getting that charcoal lit up, and so we're getting some flames licking the tri-tip now. All right, here's where you want to be careful. You want it to char up a little bit and give it a nice little crust, but at the same time you don't want to burn it, so we've got to let that catch a little bit of that flame. Let's go ahead and flip her over. So we got some nice color going on here now. Sizzling, looking good, and the smell, the aroma coming off this, whoo, that's awesome. I'm loving it. So now, so I don't let it char up too much, I'm just gonna pick it up and kind of like roll it around a little bit, let it get the edges a little bit. Set it back down. All right, so what we're going for is about 1 minute to 2 minutes per side. Just being careful not to make sure it doesn't blacken up too much, burn. Probably repeat this side, maybe let each side get that flame for, you know, more than once, probably twice. Use your own judgment, you know? Yeah, we're starting to look real good now. All right, we're about where I want it. Looking real good there. Nice char on the outside, and while this has been doing that, check this out. Temperatures come up to 130 degrees, almost 131 degrees, so it's about time to pull this. Yeah, set that there for a second. Another little close up. That looks fun there, don't it? Okay, and it's ready to go. Now we're moving on to step 5, and this is the most difficult part. This is the hard part. We're gonna take this tri-tip here. It's a beautiful looking tri-tip, and we're gonna put it on a pan. We're gonna let it rest for 15 minutes. We're not gonna touch it. We're not gonna carve into it. We're just gonna let it rest for 15 minutes, maybe up to 30 minutes. We're gonna let it rest so that all the juices inside here redistribute down into the meat, so you end up with a nice, perfect, juicy tri-tip that's gonna be so good. So let's let this rest for about 15 minutes. You know, just keep it in a warm spot. If you're in an area where there's wind and stuff like that, you might wanna throw a little aluminum foil over it or something like that to protect it. But besides that, we're just gonna let it rest for a while, 15 minutes, and then it's time to carve. I mentioned before I was going to give you a little tip about not wasting charcoal. If you look down in there, let me get this out of the way. You can see there's still a lot of good usable charcoal in there. Look at all that. That's some good stuff. Now, you got two choices. You can just let that burn up and go away and then dump it all. Or, real easy, check this out. Just close your lid, block off the air all the way, nice and tight, and come over here and shut down your intake as well. And that's going to snuff out that charcoal. It's going to die out from lack of oxygen, and within just a couple minutes it's not going to be burning anymore. Then it's going to get cool, and then I'm going to show you the next step to saving that charcoal. All right, I want to show you something really quick. That tri-tip I took off about 7 minutes ago now, and the temperature went up to 134. It was 130 when I took it off, went up to 135. Now it's slightly starting to come back down to 134 there. That's called carryover cooking. That means that you take it away from the heat because the outside of the meat is really hot, hotter than the inside. That heat's going to slowly transfer its way down inside and warm it up a little bit more. So that's why we take it off a little bit below what our actual target temperature is. So looks like we're in pretty good shape. We hit that medium rare that I was looking for. All right, the hard part's over. And I'm joking, of course. Was any of this really difficult? It's really simple, okay? And when I originally thought about doing this video for you, I put the question out there in a short and asked if you want to see this done on the Judge or in the Weber kettle or on a gas grill. And the most number of requests I got was for the Judge. That's why I did it on that. But you know what? It's the exact same process if you do it on a Weber kettle or on a gas grill. You're just going to have the heat over to one side, cook it indirectly until it hits that temperature you're looking for, and then right over the flames until it gets right to that nice looking crust you want on the outside, and we're good to go. So let's go ahead and unwrap this. And it's time to carve. So before we carve this, of course we're going to put it on the cutting board, but there is something important that you need to understand about carving a tri-tip. If you look carefully at it, you can kind of see lines. That's the grain of the meat. And you can see over here on the tip side or the pointy side, the lines are going this way. And if you follow them down, they kind of start going like this, and then all of a sudden over here they're like going the length of the long portion over here, and follow the lines. They kind of start over here, the grain starts over here, and you've got these long straight lines over here. So for the best bite of tri-tip that you can get, you always want to make sure that you cut against the grain. So I'm going to show you how to do that. Let's put this over here. There we go. We'll set the old tray aside over there. All right. And we can remove the temp spike now. There we go. Put that over there too. All right. So like I was saying, you've got grain right here going across this way. It's going across like this, following those lines. But over here, it starts going this way, and you start getting these really long lines this way. So it really starts changing about right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and make my first slice right here, following that center grain, okay? And here we are. Here's the inside of this tri-tip. And doesn't that look pretty? Yeah? Look at that. That's perfect. That's exactly what I wanted to see. So now we'll go ahead and set this one aside over here. And we're going to, like I said, which I was before, the grains are going this way. So we're just going to go ahead and turn this tri-tip this way, and we're going to slice across the grain this way. Okay, here we go. There we go. All right, now when you serve tri-tip, you know, some people like to make a nice thick slice and you kind of serve it like individual small steaks like that. Look at that. Yeah? Look at that. That's beautiful. Or of course, you know, if you want to do, especially if you're doing like sandwiches or something like that, slice it real thin, shave it thin, and it makes for a really nice, smooth little bite right through the bread and the meat. You know, like that. That's pretty. Okay. So slice it however you want, depending on what you're going to do with it. There's a lot you can do with your tri-tip. Makes fantastic tacos, by the way. Love tri-tip tacos, tri-tip sandwiches. You know, thick slices of tri-tip with potatoes and greens, whatever. You know, it's just all right. It's driving me crazy now, sitting here and cutting this and smelling it. But look at the juiciness. That is just gorgeous. Now this piece over here, the long piece. I'll set this aside here. Basically, you're going to want to turn it this way and do the same thing and start cutting across the grain this way. You might have to take a little chunk off the tip like I just did there, and then you get your nice pieces across the grain. Look how perfectly that is. Let's go ahead and take this end off over here just so we can see even on the end where it's going to be a little more well done. Came out really nice with this process. So now I got to get me a bite. And this one looks good. This is my favorite part of what I do here, okay? Oh my gosh. Melt in your mouth perfection. Okay, if you don't mind. All right, one more. Oh my gosh. Okay. Trust me on the Pappy's thing, okay? Pappy's is something you just buy pretty much any grocery store. It's fantastic. So good on tri-tip. It's my favorite seasoning, and I don't do a lot of prepackaged seasonings. I usually just make my own rubs. Pappy's nails it with tri-tip. Trust me, you got to give it a shot. Now don't forget, I still got that charcoal over there that I put out. I'm going to show you how to deal with that here in a second, so stay tuned for that. But if you're good for now, this is it. This is easy. Tri-tip, bulletproof. Okay, super simple. I don't like getting crazy with a bunch of weird, I don't know, salsas and stuff to throw on top of it and sauces. Tri-tip tastes too good on its own. And it's so easy to do, and it's quick. Overall cooking time is about 1 hour and 15 minutes. That's all I got to say about that. If you have any comments, questions, I love that. If you have suggestions, if there's something you want to see me cook on any of the tools that I have here in my cooking island, I'd be happy to do that for you. Please go to the comment section and let me know. I appreciate that. Check the video description for links to some of the things that I use and information like on the rub and seasoning, stuff like that. It'll all be in there. If you're good for now, thank you so much for being here and watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share. That really helps my channel out. I really appreciate that. Stick around for the charcoal tip if you want. Thank you so much for being here. This has been Tony Tone Barbecue. I'm Tony. Have fun, my friends. So a buddy of mine says to me, I love cooking with charcoal, but I hate wasting so much. And I'm like, okay, how are you wasting charcoal if you're cooking with it? He says, well, because when I'm done cooking, it burns for another hour to 2 hours. And I could have cooked a whole nother meal on that. I said, whoa, okay, so now I get it. So my buddy wasn't snuffing out his charcoal, and I thought this was like a common practice, but maybe some of you don't. When you're done cooking, especially if you're cooking something that cooks relatively quickly, like maybe a thinner cut of steak or something like that, and you're only cooking it over the coals for 15-20 minutes, this charcoal might burn for 2 to 3 hours. This charcoal right here was burning for about an hour and a half yesterday. Had the tri-tip over here, and then I moved the tri-tip over top of it, and then I closed it up. So what I showed you earlier was you want to, as soon as you're done cooking, go ahead and seal off your grill. Close the lid, close the exhaust pipe, and close off the air intake. And what will happen is your charcoal will suffocate and the fire will go out. So then what you do is you just give a little, shake it up a little bit like that, and you'll knock loose all the ashes on top, and you'll see that you've got a lot of pretty good sized chunks of charcoal. This charcoal was burning for an hour and a half, so there's still some life left in this. You don't have to throw this away and waste it. Couple things you can do. You can just collect it all like this, put it in a little bucket, and save it for your next cook. What I usually do is I just like to leave it in a little pile here on the grate, and then the next time I go to cook, I could, depending on what I'm going to do, if I'm just going to maybe cook up a brat or a couple dogs or something like that, maybe a hamburger, maybe just cooking for myself, I might just light this up by itself. One way I can do it is take one of these little tumbleweeds here, put it down here, light, and then put the charcoal on top of it, light it up, and it'll light right back up pretty quickly. You can also wad up paper towel or something with a little vegetable oil, a little, olive oil, something like that. Put that in there, light that, and that'll get it going. If I'm going to be cooking something bigger, maybe some chicken or something like that, it's going to take a little longer to cook, then I'll probably just use my Weber Rapid Fire, fill this thing up full of charcoal like normal, with a paper underneath, wad it up, light it up, and then I'll just dump it right on top of that and add that to the mix, and it'll burn up with the rest of the charcoal. And then same thing, when I'm done, I will shut off the airflow to it and let it suffocate, and then I'll have another pile of charcoal to deal with next time. So I'm never really wasting charcoal. I'm using every bit of it with every cook, and you end up saving a pretty decent amount of charcoal that way. So anyways, that's my little tip for saving charcoal. You see here, I've got it all built up in a little pile, and I can still empty the ash pan underneath. Same thing on a Weber kettle. You've just you shake it loose, keep it on your rack up top there, or if you use like a slow and sear or something like that, just pick it up and shake it a little bit, and all the ashes will fall out of it, and you can dump the waste ash from down below, and you're good to go. So that's it. I hope that tip is helpful to you. And again, thank you for watching and visiting my channel here. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share this with your friends. I really appreciate that. Please, if you've got something you want to say, if you've got a question you want to ask, or if there's a request you would like to make of me, be happy to help you out with that. Thanks for being here. It's been Tony Tone Barbecue. I'm Tony. Take care.